okay? And I don't give a if your cousin's in QAnon and you don't think he's nuts. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I know cray-cray when I see it.
Lewis Black, live on stage in the Mystic Showroom, Friday, April 26th. Get tickets now at the Mystic box office or online at mysticlake.com. For more, visit lewisblack.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 41. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 29. And Saturday, partly cloudy with a high near 46. Discover the magic of Crooner's Supper Club. From the incredible shows to the cozy ambiance of Maggie's Lounge. There's no better place to spend an evening with friends, family, or that special someone. Crooner's Supper Club is located off Moore Lake and Highway 65. More at croonersloungemn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and in the evening on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. It is the Matt McNeil Show. I am your sexy groundhog of love. You're Matt McNeil. Hi, how are you today? Matt and Patrick here. We've got a good show for here today. We're hoping you're having a good day. Patrick, how are you today?
Doing well. I feel like I've done this show, the same show, over and over again. Yeah. One of the more underrated films. Groundhog Day is a great film. It's got to be on. Is TNT got it on loop all day today? I do not know.
I'm going to have to guess they do. By the way, I'm not sure if these are for the Super Bowl, but Lay's has released a series of ads with the guy that played the insurance guy in that movie. And they're kind of dark, but they're great. I think they're wonderful. So if you haven't seen those, you can pull them up. There's like 8 of them in the series. And they're over, you can pull them up on YouTube and see them there. Groundhog Day, of course, the little marmot himself did indeed not see his shadow. That means spring. It's easy to call spring when it's ungodly, unseasonably warm. I mean, I don't know how much I want to give credit to this little woodland creature for doing this. Anyway, Puxatawny Phil has said early spring this year, so I guess we don't have to pay attention to the Weather Channel anymore. A furry round thing has said something. The movie, a classic here, Bill Murray, Phil Connors, the weatherman, stuck in the same day over and over again. I've talked about this before, but I'll bring it up again because I think it's just funny. How long was he trapped in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania? How many days in a row? Now, this is something, once again, I think the concept of this is great. It took something that Star Trek kind of had done, and kind of did it over and over again, with, and just kind of stuck in a time loop sort of thing. And, it is a fantastic concept. You go to bed at night, you wake up, it's the same day over and over and over and over again. And of all the things to do, a TV weatherman stuck in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania is just a fantastic concept for it. But, if you watch the movie, you do have to ask the question. I mean, how long is he stuck there? Because, some things, it just is a matter of just after a few days, he'd figure out, he needed the tire jack and the tire for the people that got the flat tire, that, he'd save the guy that was choking. It just takes 1 or 2 times. But some of the other things like the ice carving and piano playing, because reminder, by the time he gets to the end of that film, he is a top-notch concert pianist. And that is not something you can learn quickly. Now, there was, what Culture did have calculated here. They said, they basically for last year, they figured out he repeats the day 12,395 times. So that would put him into 33 years and 350 days over and over and over again. Harold Ramis originally said he thought Murray's character had been stuck in Puxatawny for 10 years. However, in 2009, he admitted the estimate was far too short. He said, it takes at least 10 years to get good at anything, and allotting for the downtime and misguided years he spent, it'd be more like 30 to 40 years. The site methodically reassesses Groundhog Day, looking at 3 stages of the film. These include 38 days shown on screen. So on screen are just 38 days. The 414 days mentioned, including the 6 months, 4 to 5 hours a day spent throwing cards into a hat. The colossal 11,931 days spent learning. Based on the theory, it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything. The third stage covered the time needed for Phil to learn French poetry, ice sculpting, the piano, all in the name of impressing his producer, Rita, played by Andy McDowell. There's also a final additional stage identified as the gesture days, in which Murray's character saves a falling child, performs the Heimlich maneuver, and buys a couple of newlyweds WrestleMania tickets. Dubious reasoning and perfect analysis. Well, the jury's still out. I will say there was actually a darker version of this film that had him initially, and this had actually gotten to, I think, the storyboard portion, that one of the things he was going to try to figure out how long he was stuck there, and he would go to the local library and read one page of a book every single day. And that if you think about that, how many books have 500, 600 pages? What eventually happens is he got to all the books. He read every book in the library. And so they realized, well, considering, some books would be a full year by themselves. If you're reading an entire library of books, you could be there for thousands and thousands of years. And they actually were going to go with that. But, there is an interesting element. And of course, I'm about to show my geekiness. There's under the Peter Capaldi era of Doctor Who, the 12th Doctor, there is an episode where they made basically this Viking girl immortal. And she shows back up like 700 years in the future in like the 1500s or 1600s. And she makes the comment that she has written down as much as she can. She has in a library and she's with all these books and she wrote down as much as she could. But she says she goes back and reads them and she can't even remember a thing about those days. And I think that if you think about that, how long would you be able to really remember anything? I mean, say that, under that same guy, say it was 1,000 years that you were stuck in the same place. Not only would you not remember probably the first 400, 500 years you're stuck there, eventually you get to a point where it becomes a fog. But at the same time, would you even remember anything about your life when you eventually got out of that loop? Would like in the case of Phil Connors, would he ever be able to go back and remember how to do television weather? Probably not. So they decided to trim it up, but still 33 years in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Yeah. But at the same time, let's face it, at the end of the movie, he's pretty darn cool. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. I am somewhat wrecked about this. Carl freaking Weathers, man. Just a great actor. Carl Weathers was a great actor. A former NFL linebacker who became a Hollywood action movie and comedy star, playing nemesis turned ally Apollo Creed in the Rocky movies. Faced off with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator, and teaching golf in Happy Gilmore. He died. He was 76. Matt Luber, his manager, said Weathers died Thursday. His family issued a statement. He died peacefully in his sleep, comfortable flexing his muscles on the big screen. Action Jackson, as he was joking around in the small screen on such shows as Arrested Development. Weathers was perhaps most closely associated with Apollo Creed, who made some of his first appearance in the cocky, undisputed heavyweight world champion in 76's Rocky, starring Sylvester Stallone. It puts you on the map, makes your career, so to speak. But that's a one-off, so you got to follow it up with something. Fortunately, those movies kept coming, and Apollo Creed became more and more of people's consciousness and welcome into their lives. And it was just the right guy at the right time. He told the Daily Beast in 2017. Most recently, Weathers has starred in the Disney hit TV show The Mandalorian, appearing in all 3 seasons. And I want to just take a quick moment to appreciate Carl Weathers because, first of all, let's just be honest. The Rocky movies, those first 2 Rocky movies, would not be nearly as good without Apollo Creed. Without Carl Weathers played that role perfectly, and it made those movies that much better. And by the way, go back and watch that movie. It's funny how sports used to be. Like they're setting up for the heavyweight match. The heavyweight boxing match of the world, and they're just basically setting up folding chairs in an auditorium in a high school gym in Pennsylvania somewhere. It really is kind of wow. And just randomly picking some guy out of the book to have a fight with him. That's great. And oh gosh, do you remember who the guy that played the Penguin in the Batman TV series, who played his manager?
Burgess Meredith.
Thank you. Gosh, Burgess Meredith was fantastic in there as well. I will say that Predator, a phenomenal film. As a matter of fact, I was just listening to the podcast, the Smartless podcast, with Arnold Schwarzenegger on it, and he was talking about the making of Predator and the fantastic movie that is, and Carl Weathers is he's the one character, and I it doesn't go well for him eventually, but he's one of the great characters in regards to character arc in that movie. I mean, I would say he and Arnold, and I mean the guy that played Billy too kind of has a little bit of a character arc in that too. So yeah, our former governor here in Minnesota, he didn't last long. Jesse, is he? Yes. I will say Carl Weathers, in my mind, has the greatest line from one of those cheesy 1980s cop movies ever, 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 ever. Absolutely. And that is from Action Jackson. I can't even say this line. It's not he's got space dementia from that god awful movie. What was the asteroid movie that Bruce Willis and Armageddon. He's got space dementia. That's manna from heaven right there. But this is as good as it gets from the 1980s. Carl Weathers sits there with a flamethrower, and the bad guys are coming towards him, and he says, with the flamethrower, how do you like your ribs? And he turns it on. Oscar, he was robbed. The Academy robbed him that year. Of course, Happy Gilmore was a great comedy term for him, but I will say, comedically, one of the best castings ever. Carl Weathers in Arrested Development. Holy God, his scenes are just amazing. And his ability to do comedy is there are few people that can pull off how he does it, and he does it so well. He did it so well. And of course, if you're a fan of The Mandalorian, he's perfectly cast in that role from The Mandalorian, from the Disney Plus TV show. He's absolutely perfectly cast. He understood the character that he's playing. And yeah, it is sad. It is sad because he's one of those guys that I kind of grew up with. I remember when I was a kid, the Rocky movies being big, and then of course, Predator, and then in the 1980s and stuff like that. But just the love of comedy with the other movies and stuff. I'm very appreciative, very wonderful actor. A big sad loss to all of us. Carl Weathers passing away. Let's take a break. Come on back. I got to get into a few other things. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on your Friday.
Don't worry about problems. I'll be a call away. I'm ready for action.
Hi, I'm Mary T, inviting you to experience our integrative Mary T Health and Wellness Center, offering physical, occupational, speech, and lymphedema therapies. Experience our guided imagery, meditation, Tibetan medicine, dry needling, massage services, including cupping and oncology massage. Sign up for our free wellness screenings and learn more at marytwellness.com. All major health insurance providers are accepted. Come for therapy, experience wellness.
The AM 950 2024 calendar is still available, and there's still time to take part in the brand new Thank You. Become a sustaining member of AM 950 with a recurring monthly payment of $50 or more, or make a one-time membership donation of $250 or more. And not only will you receive the AM 950 calendar and the AM 950 tote bag as a thank you, but you'll also be invited to an exclusive AM 950 thank you, a meet and greet with me, Matt McNeil. The meet and greet will be happening soon, so you have to sign up now. For more details or to sign up to become a member, go to am950radio.com. That's am950radio.com.
You want to feel important. You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters, and that you can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We felt that way too. I'm Sergeant First Class Chris Urick from Glencoe, Minnesota, and that's Minnesota Army National Guard soldiers. We are people just like you, and together we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit nationalguard.com/MN to find out more. Sponsored by Minnesota Army National Guard, aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-457-6060. That's 1-800-457-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-457-6060. That's 1-800-457-6060.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
If you're someone that counts on AM 950 to bring you the latest in progressive politics, news, and talk, remember, we can't do it alone. Support our many great advertisers and let them know you heard about their business on AM 950. If you don't know who to talk to, simply write AM 950 on your receipt. AM 950 is supported by small local businesses, so you're not only helping us and those businesses, but our local economy as well. For a complete list of our sponsors, log on to am950radio.com.
Hey, Mr. DJ, put a record on. I wanna dance with my baby.
It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on your Friday, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So it is February. It is Black History Month. I have, I once again, I think it's sometimes a bit of a crime that we go through this month, and for the most part, people are focused on the Super Bowl and then Valentine's Day, and then it's like, oh, it's Black History Month. And so I'm going to take some time, as many days as I can, to try to talk about an issue here, which is definitely something that's affecting not only generally in many cases the Black community, but as well also minority communities and all people as well. And we should all be paying attention to it. And this is, I'm going to do my best. My job here is not to be white savior. It is not. My job is to try to inform people. And you know, if you want to know, if you're a white person and you want to know what you can do to help race relations, well, ask the Black community. Ask them. I've said this before with the Native American community. Defer to them. They'll tell you. You know, you should be a tool for their agenda, not try to force an agenda on them and act like you've done something good. How about I say it like that? All right. So my job here is to basically, I want to make sure we keep pointing out the insane levels of injustice that are going on. And when you think of insane levels of injustice, well, Alabama seems to come to the top of the list, doesn't it? The Alabama Parole Board last year denied parole to a man who's been serving 20 years jail sentence on an armed robbery conviction on the grounds he was too dangerous to let free. Okay. All right. So someone committed a problem, armed robbery, 20-year jail sentence. Hey, he's too dangerous to be let free. But as AL.com reports, the man in question actually had been dead for 10 days at the time of the decision that they said he was too dangerous to be set free. According to the report, 55-year-old Easterling Correction Facility, Frederick Bishop was found unresponsive while incarcerated last year, taken to the prison's healthcare facility and later pronounced dead. The cause of his death has still not been disclosed, even though it occurred nearly a year ago. According to AL.com, the parole board was unaware of his death, in large part because the prisoners eligible for parole are not allowed to attend their own hearings, which typically last mere minutes per case because, let's face it, they're not looking to give parole to anybody. They want to look tough on crime. We're wasting taxpayer dollars even bringing them here so they can represent themselves. Bishop's mother, Dorothy Jean Bishop, tells AL.com that happens to her son was both incomprehensible and entirely believable given how the state treats the prison population. They don't care. A spokesperson for the Alabama Bureau of Prisons and Paroles told AL.com that the board was unaware of Bishop's death while also apologizing for any confusion caused by the mix-up, a.k.a. you guys didn't even do your basic due diligence. They also pledged to the board would continue to take steps to avoid this and similar situations in the future. Now, let me tell you the truth. I do not know the race of Frederick Bishop, but I do know that a large portion of an absolutely unacceptable majority of our prison population is minority and predominantly black, because black people are convicted of crimes and thrown into prison at much higher rates than white criminals are. I mean, how many times have we seen, I tell you the truth, it is remarkable how often we see a black man is perceived to have taken 1 cent too many from the take a penny, leave a penny jar at the front counter of a gas station, and he and his entire family are face down on the ground outside, cuffs on, with white sheriffs sitting there saying, until I get some answers, nobody going anywhere. Meanwhile, a white guy can have and this actually happened, can have a guy clinging to the outside of a police officer clinging to the outside of his car. And at no point is the white guy under threat of being shot by the police officer who is holding on for their life. Or how many times have you seen deranged white man with a gun sitting out there and it's like, hey, buddy, we're bringing out some Big Macs here. Let's just sit down and talk this out, Hallie. It's clear there is a racial injustice in the system. And when you look at the prison population and you look at how things are going there, it is unacceptable to have this level where these are human beings, for goodness sakes. And frankly, a lot of them are probably innocent. But because, as we've seen time and time and time again, how many times have you seen it? Well, the description is black. And it doesn't matter. You find a black person and you chuck them into jail. You railroad them in. What is two stories to go along with this? We've had now stories, and I believe this was Alabama as well, where you had, prisoners who were buried just in mass graves, unmarked, unrecognized. No one knows where they're at. And they're trying to figure out, oh, well, there are loved ones here that need to know this. Oh, heaven forbid. I mean, my God, you almost want to put a recycling bin out there just so that at least we don't have to try to dig these bodies up for you insensitive jackasses. I mean, my God. On top of that, there is a really nasty trend that's starting to come back. And this is something I mentioned the other day. The chain gang is starting to come back. And part of this is, you remember when all those Republicans said they don't want immigrants from across the border coming to our country? One of the things that they didn't want to acknowledge is a lot of those immigrants come in and do the jobs most Americans just do not want to do, particularly farm labor, which is exhausting. It is relentless. Sometimes the weather is horrific and stuff. And so it's kind of one of those things where white people and the locals generally don't want to do those jobs. And so the farming community, and this is kind of one of the big secrets of the farming community, it's been there for a long time, is they are dependent on these undocumented workers to come in and work these farm jobs. And when the Republican governors shut that down, well, all of a sudden these people can't find people to come, the farmers can't find people to come work their farms. Well, the solution, the chain gang is back, where basically you can hire out the local jail to put chains on people and have them come out and do menial labor tasks and not really even get paid for it. We are in Black History Month. We need to understand the level of dysfunction in this country, that we have prisons which are overwhelmingly filled with black prisoners many of them wrongly convicted. Not all of them, by any means. Not all of them, but many of them wrongly convicted. They don't even care about them enough to keep track of them to see if they're still alive when they come up for, a parole hearing, which they're not allowed to attend and are considered dangerous even when they're dead. They bury them in mass graves. They don't even pay attention to where they put them. And they basically are taking them out there and putting them into forced labor camps, which never goes well. Until we start fixing some of this stuff, your people wonder, it's like, why do you think there's injustice? Well, open your freaking eyes. We'll take a break, come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Minnesotans are hardy. We don't let snow or ice get in our way. We have places to go, so making sure your vehicle is in prime shape for winter driving is so important. Take your vehicle to Rudy Luther Toyota for all your service needs. I was just there. I got my oil and filters replaced, and they did a complete safety check to make sure my vehicle can tackle what winter has up its sleeve. And they service all makes and models of vehicles. Head to RudyLutherToyota.com and use their super easy Toyota service scheduler to set up your service appointment today. Rudy Luther Toyota on the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley. Hi, Matt McNeil here. You're listening to the best progressive radio in Minnesota. It's AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Kelly Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Your hosts for Searching for Service. Tune in to Rotary's influential show and podcast, sharing touching stories of service locally and abroad.
We bring you weekly guests that connect, inform, and inspire our listeners on all things service.
We highlight diverse service opportunities that appeal to both Rotarians and people driven to serve in their communities.
Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. or anytime via podcast. It's time
to stop searching
and start serving.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown, Minnesota's only minority-owned union printing company. We have big news. We've moved to North Minneapolis.
Why did you move?
As a Black business owner, I wanted to be part of the North Minneapolis community to provide jobs.
Are there other reasons you moved there?
We have bigger new equipment and outgrew the other location.
What kind of new equipment do you have?
We have new equipment that allows us to print quality signage and banners. We also have a new inkjet printer, printing larger sheets, improving production efficiencies.
Is the new location easy to find?
It's not only easy to find, it's more convenient with plenty of parking. We are now located on Washington Avenue North off I-94 and the Dowling exit.
So do you still print everything?
We print more than everything. We have over 175 Google reviews with a 5-star rating. Call 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com. We print everything.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 41. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 29. And Saturday, partly cloudy with a high near 46. Discover the magic of Crooner's Supper Club. From the incredible shows to the cozy ambiance of Maggie's Lounge. There's no better place to spend an evening with friends, family, or that special someone. Crooner's Supper Club is located off Moore Lake and Highway 65. More at croonersloungemn.com.
There's a space in my heart when it all comes crashing down. Anytime I hear your name out in public, there's a place that
Broadcasting in the evening on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, and in the afternoon on the mothership, because I am a mother. It's the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, AM 950. It's Matt McNeil Show on your Friday. Hope you have a good weekend planned for yourself. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. This breaking news. The United States on Friday carried out a series of military strikes against Iran-backed militants in a half a dozen sites in Iraq and Syria, according to the U.S. Defense Department's official, marking a sharp escalation in the war in the Middle East that the Biden administration has for 4 months sought to avoid. President Biden had promised to respond to a drone attack in Jordan on Sunday that killed 3 American soldiers, injured at least 40 more service members. The military action sought to send a message to Iran and the militants it backs that continued attacks on the U.S. troops in the region will international ships in the Red Sea will draw a response. Mr. Biden's approved the retaliatory strikes, U.S. officials said. He even telegraphed that they are coming when he told reporters on Tuesday that he made the decision to respond to the drone attack on a remote outpost in Jordan. Mr. Biden and his top allies have been loath to take steps that could draw the United States into a wider war in an already hugely unstable region. In particular, the administration does not want a proxy war underway with Iran to become more significant conflict. But with the latest strikes, that possibility is inching closer. Administrative officials said Biden had little choice but to hit back after the strike in Jordan killed 3 American soldiers, especially since their deaths came amid a steady stream of attacks from Iran-backed groups like the Houthis in Yemen and Hezbollah in Iraq. So there you go. I will say this. One of the things I was reading kind of more of a deep dive into how we've gotten into this position in the Middle East. And the person said is what you've got is for Barack Obama under W. Bush, to a point, under Clinton, H.W. Bush, even Reagan, going back that far, there was an understanding within the White House that if you played obscene favorites with certain countries, that was going to come back and play and bite you. And it doesn't mean that the United States hasn't played favorites over there. They have, but they have not played the obscene favorites. And then we got Trump, and when it became just a Saudi Arabia is great because they sure gave Jared Kushner a ton of money, which, by the way, no Republican seems to have any problem with at all. On top of that, they were just unabashedly pro-Israel, and he said that if he gets elected here, he'll sign off on killing as many Palestinians as the Israelis think is necessary, if not all of them. I mean, that's kind of the tone coming from the Trump administration. So the fact he goes, when you got to the Trump administration and he just didn't understand the nuances of foreign policy and just always wanted to be the smartest guy in the room when he was the dumbest guy in the room, especially when it came to foreign policy, that's how you got to this point. And this was, you go back and you can start seeing the Middle East unravel even back in 2017. And so thanks, Donald Trump, you suck. I think that's what we've all, we're kind of at that point. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205 is the phone number. I want to give an update here. Okay, so of all the Trump court cases, the one down in Florida, that Judge Cannon down there is doing everything in her power to make sure that case never gets to a courtroom, because she's basically, it clearly appears like she's on the payroll of the Trump organization. You can't look at her rulings and not think that there is something there that I've got zero doubt in my mind that there has been communication between the Trump camp and her about these rulings. I'm dead serious. You explain to me how you're making the rulings you are. I mean, it seems like your whole goal here is to cover for the guy that gave you that job, even though you are wildly unqualified to be a judge on that court. That being said, that one is probably not going to go away. Well, of course, the one in New York, they're holding it up now because there's a perjury charge, but they're expecting a ruling here on how much he's going to have to pay here by the end of February. So we'll have to see on that. There's the case down in D.C. about him, trying to overthrow the government of the United States. And that one now has been delayed. But it is going to be a relatively they're waiting. They want to get this ruling from the Supreme Court in regards to Trump and immunity, which, once again, if the Supreme Court comes down and says that Trump is immune, expect this to be a word salad a la via Bush v. Gore, where in Bush v. Gore, what they did is they took a case that had nothing to do with election law, inverted the ruling of it, and applied it to that case, and then basically said, we'll never revisit this again. This is a one and done. We're not ever going to do this again. And my guess is going to be because they don't want to set the standard that a future Democratic president can never be held accountable. They basically they've got to get Trump off, but they can't establish that standard. So expect, if this comes down some sort of his way, which I still think is unlikely. I think there is I think it's going to be probably a 7-2 ruling that the president of the United States is not above the law, and only the completely and totally compromised Alito and Clarence Thomas are the ones that basically say, he can do whatever he wants. Because I got an RV. Have you seen the RV? Oh, he can do whatever he wants. That being said, the last case is the one that Trump is absolutely terrified about, and that is the one in Georgia. And today we learned some new facts about Fani Willis, and although it's not, it's kind of yeah. I mean, there's a bit of a boneheadedness there to it. At the same time, what she's done today, some people feel as if she's basically made it impossible for Trump to get rid of her off this case. So what's happened is this. Georgia's Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis admitted in a court filing today that she had a personal relationship with a prosecutor she appointed to oversee her office's election interference case against former President Trump. Willis denies in the 176-page filing that her relationship with the prosecutor, Nathan Wade, had any impact on the case's proceedings. The admission comes weeks after one of Trump's co-defendants in the case, Mike Roman, alleged in a court filing that Willis and Wade had a romantic relationship she personally benefited from, claiming he used his salary from working on the case to bring Willis on expensive vacations. Willis's filing dismisses that suggestion. Roman's motion wildly speculates that District Attorney Willis somehow benefited financially from the investigation and prosecution of this case, but provides no support to justify that conclusion. And absolutely clear, the personal relationship between Special Prosecutor Wade and District Attorney Willis has never involved direct or indirect financial benefit to District Attorney Willis. The filing states that, and the two have never shared any joint finances, financial accounts, or households, and have not merged their expenses in any way. All travel costs were divided between the two. It continued as both have substantial income and neither is financially reliant on the other. That was kind of the problem. It's like, wait a second here. She's dependent on him for travel. I mean, she's got a pretty good job too. The filing suggests that Roman's allegations, which Trump and his supporters have backed as proof of corruption in the case, are an attempt to have someone more sympathetic to Trump take over the case. One may question whether the intent is to disqualify the prosecutor who has taken all the abuse to persuade justice in this case at a personal cost, or pursued justice in this case at a personal cost, only to be substituted with someone less committed to do so, the filing does add. In the event that Willis is removed or recruits herself from the case, it would fall to Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr, a Republican, to appoint another district attorney in the state to take over the proceedings. Last month, Carr was one of more than 24 GOP attorney generals to sign a friend of the court filing saying that the Colorado Supreme Court was wrong to remove Trump from his ballot over the alleged 14th Amendment violation, a.k.a. that if he gets the choice here, basically, that he's going to put someone in there that's going to say, I don't see, sure, he said he needed all these votes, but, he said he needed fries, too. Are we going to prosecute him about the fries? You think that, and by the way, as ludicrous as a suggestion or an example as I can make with that's probably going to be pretty close to what the argument is. Who doesn't like tater tots? Much of Roman's filing focuses on more than $650,000 Wade has collected in legal fees for his work on the case. That salary, he alleges, is inappropriately high for a lawyer whose firm handles car accidents and family law disputes. I will say this, if it handles car accidents, it depends on the accident, because I can tell you right now, I had a crash course, unfortunately, in how car accidents work. And depending on the situation, I mean, if it comes from if the person was, say, drunk and driving, and they came from a bar that was legally serving the individual past the point where he clearly was intoxicated, that basically you have merit to go after the bar and other people as well. I mean, there are things there. So you saying that's a lot of money, $650,000. I mean, that could be one case, depending on a car accident. That could easily be one case. Now, I'm going to say to Fani Willis that this is the one thing. You should have seen this cab coming down the street. I would make an argument the minute you got into a romantic relationship with this individual, you probably should have either separated him from this case, or you should have come out with it and said there's a romantic relationship here. And this is to a point, it's a little bit like the defense secretary. I understand you want to keep quiet about cancer and stuff like that. And by all means, sir, I hope that you recover and everything goes well there. That at the same time, though, you have a position that you, because you have taken this position, your ability to maintain a level of anonymity has been removed. And so part of me looks at this and says, at what point do you look at this and say that won't come back and bite me if it's discovered that I'm, having a relationship with a person that I have hired and brought on and I'm paying a salary? That being said, just because that does happen doesn't mean this is the case. As a matter of fact, her point is, reminder, the linchpin for this is that he paid for her vacations via the money that he was paid after she hired him. And basically that's just fishing. Now, in case you've not paid attention to the whole thing with the Joe Biden impeachment, the entire argument they're making is that even though Joe Biden hadn't done anything wrong, and it's the same, and by the way, it's the same exact argument that they made when it was the Clinton Foundation back in 2016. Just because she got a donation to the Clinton Foundation that might have come from an outside source, their argument is, well, even though that didn't directly go to something that shouldn't have been spent on, it opened up money for her to do it. And funny, it's when you bring that argument up about the NRA, they're, oh, no, the NRA would never take Russian money and funnel it through the NRA and give it to Republicans. How would you suggest that? And that sort of thing. That being said, nothing illegal ever happened with the Clinton Foundation. Nothing illegal has happened with the Joe Biden situation. And nothing illegal seems to have happened here. And by her being upfront with this actually might have diffused this pretty well. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis admitted on Friday that she was romantically involved with one of her special prosecutors, Nathan Wade, but the details she and Wade have now revealed destroy really any chance former President Trump can use to get her thrown off the election racketeering case against him. This is according to a Georgia State law professor, Anthony Michael Crease. Wade, a defense lawyer and former municipal judge who was hired by Willis despite having little background as a prosecutor, was revealed to be having an affair with her after alleged allegations made by an attorney for Trump, co-defendant Mike Roman. Financial documents released as a result of Wade's divorce proceedings reveal he spent money on trips for the both of them. This has led Trump and his allies to claim that Willis and Wade orchestrated the whole prosecution as a smokescreen to take public funds to support the relationship. But wrote Crease on Twitter, Wade's disclosures in a new sworn affidavit contradict this. The chances of successful disqualification went from 5% to 0.05%, wrote Crease, noting that according to Wade's affidavit, the relationship with Fannie Willis started with his appointment as special prosecutor. The two have never cohabitated, and travel expenses have been split between them. The existence of a relationship between Willis and Wade in and of itself would not pose any legal conflict of interest because the two of them are on the same prosecutorial team and their professional interests are aligned regardless. So it would be different if she was having a relationship with someone on the other side of the bench. Yeah. However, some legal experts like Bush administration White House ethics lawyer Richard Painter had advised that Wade and Willis should have hand off the case to other prosecutors anyway to minimize the ability of Trump and his co-defendants to use personal scandal to distract this. Well, I'm going to just say this. They're desperately going to try to get rid of this, but at the same time, if they do, it's going to go to someone who's basically going to say, I don't see a crime here. By the way, vote Trump in 2024. That's going to be what it is. So I think she doesn't have any choice but to stay on this case because any other option and this case goes away. We'll take a break, come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
I wanna kiss you.
Moe's Tax Service in St. Paul is seeking experienced tax preparers and people who'd like to learn to be on their support team. Full and part-time positions are available throughout the tax season. Moe's is open Monday through Saturday and evenings. To find out more, call 612-721-2026 or send an email to info@moestax.com. That's info@mohstax.com. In business since 1971, Moe's Tax Service. Visit moestax.com.
Thanks to everyone who's continued to support AM 950. Good news, the AM 950 2024 calendar is ready to go, featuring photos that took around Minnesota and important progressive dates. Members that sign up with a one-time $25 membership will receive a 2024 AM 950 calendar as a thank you. Make a one-time $50 or $100 donation. You'll get the AM 950 calendar and the brand new AM 950 tote bag as a thank you. Go to am950radio.com for all the details on the membership. That's am950radio.com. Thank you so much for supporting AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Think your company's safe? Your staff is working from home, right? As I speak, cyber criminals are mounting attacks across the country. Remember, when we're weakest, cyber criminals attack. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Hi, everyone. This is Andy Otto, your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, inviting you to join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. as we talk to Rox Anderson, the producer of the Twin Cities Pride Power to the People stage and executive director of the Our Space Project, where they have a mission to create a queer community center right here in the Twin Cities area. That's this Saturday at 3 p.m., right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Experiencing an injury or illness? Wondering if you'll be able to keep your job or when you can return to work? The Minnesota Retain program may be able to help. Participants may qualify for free support from experts who can guide you through the next steps to get you back to work quickly and safely. Visit mnretain.com or call 507-284-4537 to learn more. Minnesota Retain is fully funded under a grant awarded by the U.S. Department of Labor and the Social Security Administration. This message is brought to you by Minnesota Retain, this station, and the Minnesota Broadcasters Association.
Hey, Twin Cities, it's Latunji from Latunji's Palette. We're celebrating 5 years in business. Latunji's Palette. It's a place for gourmet pastries, sandwiches, drinks, and so much more. Come on over and visit us at 1400 Park Avenue South. Feel the connection of food and community. Also, we want you to look for our famous peach cobbler and other gourmet goodies at Eastside Food Co-op, Hy-Vee, Lunds and Barley's, North Market, and more. Learn more at latunjispalette.com, where we're built with purpose, fortified with love.
You would not believe your eyes if 10 million fireflies lit up the world as I fell asleep.
It's the Matt McNeil Show once again on your Friday. Good to be with you once again. 4 o'clock hour. Philip Anthony from the Downright Upright Show is going to be joining us. And we're going to be talking with him about his weekend show here on the Mothership AM 950, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So I want to... I want to be, somewhat critical here of all of us. Do you know in the movie Independence Day, do you remember that when the aliens show up and there's that one group of people that goes to the top of the building in Los Angeles to party hardy with the aliens up there, thinking that, hey, the ominous spaceship that's not sending out any signals, they got to be friendly, right? And hey, it does not end up well for them. No, it's a boom. It kind of, it's a, it goes poorly. There comes a point where, and granted, that's a movie and it's a cheesy movie, and you do get, I don't necessarily human reactions from a bad movie like that, but at the same time, it is a good example of what we are kind of going through right now. So imagine 1 year, all of a sudden, an alien spaceship shows up and just starts hovering ominously over someplace. And then the next year, 2 more ships show up and just hover ominously over us. And then more ships. And every year, more ships keep showing up and they're not saying anything. It just is there. And it's something you can't deny. They are there. That's undeniable. That is what is happening. They are there. Right there. There you can see them. And they're not talking to us. They're not doing anything. They just keep showing up. It just keeps happening. There comes a point where you would say to yourself, it'd be really stupid for us to sit and dance and celebrate right before the laser beam turns us into a rotisserie. Oh, gosh, yeah. Yum. You think to yourself, maybe there was a few signs we should have done something. This is the problem we face with climate change. So up here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, we have had to cancel pretty much everything that makes Minnesota winter. Not everything. I mean, the St. Paul Winter Carnival is still going on, but all the outdoor events pretty much have been canceled. We have a cross-country ski race called the Low Pit, which goes on. Supposed to go on one of the lakes. It's unless you got scuba gear, you're not doing that this year. They postponed it for later on. All these ice palaces and ice festivals, they've had to cancel them. The U.S. pond hockey tournament, they shut that down. You've got, basically ice fishermen across Minnesota pulling a Yukon Cornelius and floating out to sea, as the ice on these lakes is just not good enough, and there's part of the problem. And so we're seeing all this happen. Yet, when we have a day in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Chicago, I know you guys have had some heat too. We had a day where we hit 55 degrees. This was on Wednesday. We hit 55 degrees. The average day we usually hit 55 in the Twin Cities is like April 10th. The last year, the earliest we hit 55 degrees was late April. And this year we hit it in January, 55 degrees in January. Second shortest winter season on record, but really actually the shortest one because the other one was one fluke day and then it got cold again. This is kind of the new normal, it seems like. There's a guy I know on Facebook, and he posts about, oh, you climate change doom and gloomers, what's the big problem? It's gorgeous outside. Hey, I know it's not right, but I'm getting out and enjoying this because this is fantastic. Part of me wants to look, it's like, okay, why don't you just move to St. Louis then? Because this is, St. Louis, Oklahoma City weather. This is what we're having. I mean, if you don't like it here, why are you here? I mean, it's same thing goes for Chicago. You can go down and live in Louisville or live in Nashville. You don't have to live in Chicago, but you live there because it's great. It's got a lot of great things going on. Minneapolis, St. Paul's got a lot of great things going on. But if you're like, oh, I can't stand it, well, you shouldn't probably be living here if it's that bad for you. That being said, it's a really blithe way of just sweeping away the fact that the alien ships are starting to show up in every city in this country at this point. And the fact that they're not saying anything to us is just, for us to keep ignoring it is bad. Now, this same individual, when the U.S. pond hockey tournament was canceled, all of a sudden had a very different tone. How come they couldn't have that? They should have found some way to put that on. And I just want to look at you and just say, do you not even hear yourself? You yourself are acknowledging. You yourself are suffering. Might be a minor suffer, but still, you have an event that you wanted to do, but because of all the damn things, in Minnesota in winter, it's not cold enough for snow or ice. Hello, alien ship above us. Let's not go to the top of the building and start dancing around. Okay. We got to take it seriously. And I think part of our problem is that we have this tendency of, oh, well, it's a nicer day than it should be. It's fine. And it's only when we get to, oh, it's 106. What? God, this is horrible. Yeah, it is, isn't it? And technically it's kind of the same horrible, but as long as we are willing to go to the top of the freaking building and dance around underneath the UFO spaceship, we kind of are only almost asking to be turned in. It's like, hey, I'll tell you what, why don't I just baste myself and suggest a leg cut? I mean, that's kind of one of those things. Our new alien overlords. I can point out all the people I think would be delicious. I'll just, I'll make a list. That I've also seen, there's a new thing that they're suggesting, a tarp that they're going to put in space to block off the sun to a point, which, by the way, is a horrifically bad idea. And by the way, we're suggesting this trillions of dollars worth of spending to basically block this off, just so that we can keep burning fossil fuels as opposed to going other ways. That this is we got to do it this way. I read a science paper one time. If we had a ring, if the moon broke apart and we actually had a ring like Saturn around the Earth, Anywhere the ring's shadow would be on Earth would be dramatically colder, like Ice Age colder, wherever the shadow was there. So no, we don't want to do the tarp thing. Maybe, just maybe, as opposed to go to the top of the building and start dancing for the aliens that are about to cook us and eat us, maybe, just maybe, we should take this seriously. Maybe. Chicago, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. Minneapolis, St. Paul, Hour 2 up next.
Hi, it's Penny from Nightingale in Minneapolis. Since 2012, we've been your go-to dining spot near 26th and Lyndale in South Minneapolis. Indulge in classics like our scallops, steak tartare, Nightingale burger, and the irresistible chocolate pot de creme. Chef Carrie keeps it fresh with seasonal dishes. We have craft cocktails and curated wines for anyone's taste. And Mondays mean half-price wine bottles. Open daily 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with the full menu until midnight. Join us at Nightingale where good times and great flavors come together.
As the Pineapple Express weather system returns. This is AP News.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Hey, Mark, remember, getting help from Progressive is so easy. You can use the mobile app, chat with us online, or call us. And you pick now to tell me. I couldn't miss Little Grace's ballet recital. Oh, thanks for inviting me, by the way. Did I? Because you know I'm always here for you.
Yeah. I can use the mobile app if I need help. Sorry, you're in my wife's seat, though?
Oh, yeah, I gotta go anyway. Tell Grace she nailed her chassé.
Get the help you need from Progressive with our mobile app, online chat, or over the phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all.
Moe's Tax Service in St. Paul is seeking experienced tax preparers and people who'd like to learn to be on their support team. Full and part-time positions are available throughout the tax season. Moe's is open Monday through Saturday and evenings. To find out more, call 612-721-2026 or send an email to info@moestax.com. That's info@mohstax.com. In business since 1971, Moe's Tax Service. Visit mohstax.com.
Hey, it's Patrick. February is the month for love. So when's the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it really deserves? If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you are breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again and again. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home with their Love Your Rug special. Get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $119 and a free hallway. And don't forget Dirt and Dander's favorite hiding place either, your air ducts. This month, take $75 off when you get your air ducts Zero Res clean. Call Zero Res right now or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. If you're a business owner, protect your employees and customers by getting your business Zero Resified by the pros at Zero Res. Call today for your commercial cleaning estimate. Backward or forward smells the same. Zero Res.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 41. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 29. And Saturday, partly cloudy with a high near 46. Discover the magic of Crooner's Supper Club. From the incredible shows to the cozy ambiance of Maggie's Lounge. There's no better place to spend an evening with friends, family, or that special someone. Crooner's Supper Club is located off Moore Lake and Highway 65 or at croonersloungemn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Friday. Matt, Patrick, Brett here. Just really quick here. I just reposted this. Jesse Ventura put out there. We lost an icon. Carl Weathers was a phenomenal talent, a true professional, and a dear friend. Great picture of him and Carl Weathers together on the set of Predator. A great picture.
Oh,
of the
that
two of
must
them.
be. Yeah. You get those two. Yeah.
God, man. Carl Weathers was great. Did you ever see him in Arrested Development?
Oh, that's where I was just going to go. Yeah, where he was still trying to give those acting lessons.
What are you doing? Getting rid of that bone. Take that home. Put some in water. You let it boil for a while. You got to stew. And then it shows him in the next scene walking around with a foil swan from a restaurant to go there. Oh, just what great casting that was. So, speaking of great casting, how about that as a segue here? Philip Anthony, are you kind enough to join us as well today?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Philip. How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you for having me again. I really appreciate that.
No problem. The Downright Upright Show is joining our, of course, beautiful schedule here on the weekends. He is it's 5 to 6 o'clock on Saturdays, if I'm not mistaken. And if Philip Anthony is kind enough to join us to talk a little bit about that. Hi. And so where are you at right now?
I'm home.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were out traveling. We were going to have you on last week. You're out traveling around a little bit, but you're home now based. Congratulations to the lineup, which once again, we've got this great lineup, Brett, in the afternoons here on Saturdays now.
Yeah, it's basically LGBTQ plus hosted programming that is going to be on the airwaves every Saturday afternoon as we get things kicked off with this Queer Book Save My Life at 2 o'clock, along with the Gaily Show, a combo of those two programs. 3 o'clock, Twin Cities Pride Amplified. Yeah, that Twin Cities Pride, that organization's with us, telling us a lot about what they do just outside of Pride, because it's more than just June with what they do.
Yes.
4 o'clock, we got Ellie 2.0 Radio, longtime host here at the station. And then 5 o'clock, the man we're talking to now, the Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony. So 4 outstanding hours of LGBTQ plus hosted programming.
Now, Philip, I want to talk, because you've been doing the podcast version of this. And to a point, I actually think that's harder than doing what I do here, because you kind of got to go. There's not a lot of commercial breaks or anything in there. You're just kind of going and talking there. Talk about the transition for you joining the terrestrial radio side of things here.
You know, the funny thing was that before I did this show, when I first started, the podcast was like an hour and some odd minutes, but straight through.
Yeah.
You know, there was no breaks, and I was just able to keep talking. And, sometimes you get into a great conversation and you don't want to end it. Now I have to do spots of 20 minutes and then a commercial, 20 minutes and a commercial, and then 10 minutes and a commercial. So it's different. So I'm getting used to that.
Well,
I give you a lot of credit for that. How you could do it.
Well, I worked in music radio forever, and so back timing a song, that was actually a lot tougher than this. But no, I'm glad you're here. And I'm also glad we've got this great lineup on Saturdays. I don't know, is there, to your knowledge, is there another radio show anywhere that's doing something like this where we got 4 hours of LGBTQIA plus community relevance radio going on?
No, AM 950. That's it.
Wow.
And this is, an amazing station, great people, wonderful owner. There's a lot of camaraderie in this group of 4 shows. And I'm so happy, honored to be able to close out the block because if you listen to the shows from 2:00 on to the end, one show is talking about books connected to the authors and gay people and LGBTQ people that have read the book and how it saved their life, basically. I was a guest on JP's show. It was amazing. Yeah. And then it goes into, Pride Amplified, talking about that Pride is not just one day a year, and then, of course, you have Ellie 2.0 and me. Mm-hmm. So, and my show is a little different in the fact that I interview people, and at the end of the show, we talk about current events like you do. We talk about, what's happening. Like today, the breaking news was that the Senate came up with a bill supposedly about the border. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't. Which bill is this one?
Well, they were working on this bill because President Trump, the ex-president, doesn't want the bill to pass because then it would be helping Joe Biden.
Oh, that bill. Okay, yeah.
That bill. So now we're gonna see if Trump's little Johnson's going to pass the bill. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, so it's got out of the Senate then, you said?
Say again?
It got out of the Senate then?
Well, they're going to vote on it now.
Okay.
They agreed on the bill. They have all the parameters that they want to put in the bill, and it's just got to be voted on. And it's going to pass, I think.
Well, I think there's enough people in the Senate that realize, because, I mean, you want to be critical of Joe Biden and how much he gave away in that bill. That's fine. I think that's legit. I think the Republicans were stunned at how much they're going to get out of that bill in regards to what they want on the border. And for the House to shut it down like this, I think it's fantastic. I hope the Senate Republicans rub this House Republicans' face in it, because that would be delicious.
It will be. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Just stay tuned. I don't know what Johnson's going to do about it, because if he doesn't pass it, then it looks like they don't want to secure the border.
Well, it's always so funny how the House Speaker thinks that they're much bigger. I get it. In the hierarchy of taking over the presidency, they're number 3, but they really are of the federal government. They're the kid in the corner eating the paste. I mean, it is really just this McCarthy thought he had a lot more power. Sure you do there, Kevin. Here's some Elmer's glue. Off you go. So it's kind of one of those things where Johnson, I think, thinks he's got a lot more power, but I think, the Senate knows that they've got a lot more power in regards to this, and throwing it back on their feet. If it comes up for a vote in the House, it will pass, just because I just don't think there's enough, borderline Biden district Republicans that want that against them on the vote.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because, you got to realize, too, this is the issue they're running on. They have nothing else. The economy is amazing right now.
Oh, yeah.
The latest job numbers were they were expecting 150,000 new jobs. It was 380 or something. And the inflation is going down. Everything is just getting better, and so they need an issue, and that's why Trump doesn't want the deal to pass, because then what is he going to run on? Nothing.
I love Fox News whenever good economic news comes by. And the faces they have, they look like a ketchup bottle seeing Trump coming at them. It's like this, just really disturbed, like, oh God, more jobs. Oh, guess it's good. All right, fine.
Yeah. Well, this election is going to be, really close, because it's going to be basically independent, deciding who the president is, because everybody's in their own corner. and so we have to get the independent vote. And I think abortion, women, suburban women are going to make a big difference in this election.
Nope. To win the Republican nomination in any district or any state, what you need to be pro-Trump and anti-abortion to win the nomination or win the primaries. And then if you run on that, especially in the suburbs, you will get destroyed. And so they basically, these candidates set up their own attack ads for them in their primary. And, this is the problem that Republicans have. I agree with you wholeheartedly. This election comes down, it's a turnout thing. Because as much as you hear these Republicans say, well, I don't know if I could vote for him, they all will. Just plan on every Republican voting for him because they've just been so brainwashed into not sitting out an election, and they can't vote for a Democrat, even though Republicans haven't helped them at all. And so we just got to get the numbers game like we did in 2020.
Yeah. And I have a message for all the suburban women listening to your show.
Yes.
Remember, that was President Trump, ex-president, I keep calling him president, ex-President Trump, who picked those three justices on the Supreme Court who have taken women's rights away. And now we have people coming from all different states to come here for women's health care because they can't get it in their own state. So just remember that before you push the button when you vote. It
will take us 20 years to get that court back into some sort of normalcy. And so you have to show up every election. There's no everyone votes. That's just that. Philip Anthony, once again, the Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony. It airs on Saturdays at 5:00, part of our great LGBTQIA plus community line of programming, followed by the Wall of Power Radio Hour with Metza that comes in after you. Philip, I can't tell you how happy I am that you're part of the gig.
Oh my God. I am so excited about this, Matt. And I just had my first radio show last week, and I got great feedback, and thank you. I just want to thank you before we close this out for you. When I was wet behind the ears with this podcast, I didn't, I was a novice, and you did do my show at the very beginning. And I want to thank you for that. That was amazing.
It was my pleasure to do it. You do a great job here. And I think it's you being on our station is going to be an asset for sure, because it just is, you're very good. So it's a privilege and a pleasure to have you on.
And Philip, I think you should preview your show tomorrow, because you have a big time guest coming up on your show.
Ooh.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you, Brett. I'm so excited to talk to Matt. Yes, I'm going to have Ruth Richardson, who is now the CEO of Planned Parenthood North Central States. Excuse me. Yes, that's her title, and we're going to be talking about women's health on the show tomorrow.
Oh, beautiful. Well, that's once again tomorrow, 5:00, right here on AM 950. Philip Anthony, once again, the Downright Upright Show. Philip, thank you very much. I appreciate the time with us here on your Friday. Okay.
Thank you so much, Matt. And you have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Philip Anthony here. We actually, before we get into break here, you and I have something to talk about here, because you and I, we've seen each other enough. We know that there's a limit to what really we have here. There's only so much we can do here. This station is incredibly dependent on the listeners and the people that are tuning in every day, not only on AM 950 here, online, podcasting, watching these YouTube videos of me, which, what's up with that? I mean, but you're doing it there. You're following us on the Twitter, on the Facebook, on the social medias, the Blue Sky, the Mastodon, the Threads. You're following us on all these things. You guys are absolutely fantastic. And it's not only that you're listening and you're here, but you guys, when you go out to our sponsors, you say almost immediately, we're here because of AM 950. We hear that back all the time. We need to put out a listener appreciation event, and that's what we're going to do the entire month of February, correct?
Yeah, we have all sorts of great stuff that we're giving away during the month of February. Your chances to win all sorts of prizes here at AM 950, as you said, our way of saying thank you, because how often I see that of people saying, oh yeah, I went there because of AM 950, or even when I'm around town, oh yeah, I've heard you on AM 950 before. It's kind of freaky when people know your voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it is. And they know it, and they know, and they'll come back and they say, well, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where, it's every business I know and I've worked with they've all said the same thing. I can't believe how well the listeners turn out for you guys. And so we need to say thank you. We need to say thank you. And this is just some of the easy things. Starting next week, what are we doing here?
Yeah, we have a nice giveaway for next week. Tickets to our listener appreciation event taking place on Tuesday, February 13th. Next week, we are giving away tickets to that event. Again, that's thanks to the generosity of our listeners, because you originally could have gotten those tickets by, of course, making a donation as part of our calendar promotion. But we had so many people that were so generous, we decided, we should give away a few to our listeners to show our appreciation.
Yeah.
And we're doing that next week. Listen to our station, and of course, also follow us on social media. We'll be putting out all sorts of posts on Facebook, where basically, if you like our posts and then like our page as well, you'll be entered with a chance to win tickets to that meet and greet. And we'll be announcing those winners later in the week.
And we'll be doing this not only on this show, but in Pilot Show on Native Roots Radio, I'm Awake. Bakken's show at night. If you're not listening to Ghost Box Radio, it's exceptional. It is absolutely exceptional. I love Greg. Greg Bakken is at night here at 10 o'clock on AM 950. You can listen to all three of those shows. We're going to be giving away stuff there. Or it might be a giveaway on the air. It might be a giveaway associated with the social media pages or signing up for the e-newsletter, something like that. We have a lot of ways we're going to do this.
And I should point out right now, your chances are going to increase dramatically if you end up taking that social media or newsletter route. We will give away some over the airwaves, but you're going to have a much better chance to win if you're following us on our socials and also replying to our newsletter as well. Glad you brought that up, because we will be sending out newsletter e-blasts next week and during the rest of February on Mondays and Thursdays. All you got to do to be entered to win those prizes that are in the newsletter is just reply with your name, your phone number, and your email. You'll be entered with a chance to win. That easy. I think that's way easier than trying to sync up being caller number 5 on the airwaves. I just reply to that newsletter.
Their horoscopes on? They need that or no?
No horoscopes, unfortunately.
I'm a quality Libra right here. I'm a quality Libra.
I got a Taurus here. I don't know what those mean, though. Yeah.
Well, you're a bull, and I'm a scale, and it's like something about balance. I don't know. I mean, if you've ever seen me walk, it's not something that really applies. No, we do not need your star sign. This is not part of it. I will say, I want to get back to, because the giveaways next week are going to be the access to the listener appreciation party. We had a few people come to us with just incredible graciousness and helping out, and with the goal of saying, we want some more people to go to the listener appreciation event. That was incredible. That is absolutely freaking incredible. And can I say this? As a guy who never had on his bingo card when I started this trip down the road, published photographer, you guys love that calendar, man. This is the 4th one we've done. We've gotten, it might be in the most we've ever.
Wow, we've done 4 of those?
We've given away as thank you. Okay. We're thinking of next year doing a bundle pack of the 5th if we do it, which I think we're doing it. But no, it's that's the 4th one of them. And you guys have helped support the station. We've sent out more of those as thank yous than I think we've ever had before. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This is we're going to do this all month long too, right? All February.
Yeah, and those aren't the only prizes. Winning tickets to the meet and greet. Certainly, I think you'd want to go to that, but we have other things that you can win as well, including gift cards to restaurants. We'll have tickets to other events taking place around town. And then at the end of the month, I can't give any more details, but we have a big time grand prize that you are going to want to win. I can't share anything else, but trust me, you'll want to win that.
I've heard some details.
Oh,
I'm not saying a thing.
Okay.
He's not overselling it or underselling it. You're underselling it, if anything. It's huge, our grand prize for the listener appreciation. So start Monday. We're going to have this. We'll be posting on the social medias. We'll be talking about it on my show, on Native Roots Radio with Robert Pilot, on Ghost Box Radio with Greg Bakken. We'll be talking about it on all 3 shows. Listen to those. Go to the website. Go to the webpage. We'll have details.
Yeah, make sure you go to our website. And if you want to sign up for that newsletter, it's at the bottom of our website, am950radio.com. I'll put a link up there, too, to make it a little bit easier as well. That's one way you can sign up. Like I said, Monday and Thursdays, we send out those blasts. All you got to do is reply to them with your name, email, phone number, or like our socials and follow for our posts. Facebook is going to be a great resource for that. Or, of course, listen on the airwaves as well.
And one last other thing here, too. If you haven't gotten a calendar, you still want to get one. It's really simple. You just go to AM 950. You can still sign up, become a member, still sign up at those levels. We'll get you a calendar as a thank you for that. Just go to AM 950 web radio. We still have a few left. You're more than welcome to take advantage of that. And so starting Monday, big deal here. right here on AM 950. We look forward to doing this with you. Brett, thank you much, man. I appreciate you coming on in.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to Listener Appreciation Month. It's going to be fun all month.
Well, but we are not qualified. We can't do it, Taurus.
Wait a second.
We're there. Those rules and things, Patrick. I know he's already stuffing the ballot box. No, Patrick, you can't. No, I can't. No, it's the listeners.
I'm trying to look at the copy right here. Are you sure? Oh, yeah. It says station staff is not eligible to win.
Not you, Brett. That's what it says there. See that line 4.
Yeah.
Not you, Brett. There you go. It's all for you guys. Thank you very much. And once again, from the bottom of my heart, from everyone here at AM 950, God, you guys are great. And I love you. I really do. You guys have been wonderful to us. This is the least we can do. It's Listener Appreciation Month right here on AM 950. We'll take a break and come on back.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Now at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have new Fireplace Extraordinaire hybrid fireplace inserts.
These wood-burning inserts are made in 2 sizes and 9 different designs to fit your existing fireplace and enhance your home's architecture. They not only feature a big, beautiful fire viewing area, they heat so efficiently that they qualify for a 30% tax credit, which can save you $2,000.
Advancing the art of fire is the motto of Fireplace Extraordinaire. For 30 years, the EPA has certified all wood-burning heaters for clean burning. But these new hybrids add a catalytic combustor. They burn even longer, more efficiently, and cleaner. To design these inserts to work well and look good is Fireplace Extraordinaire's art of fire.
At woodlandstoves.com, you can see the many options. Work with the chimney and installation experts. They not only install, but will guide you if you want to install yourself. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services.
Now is a perfect and exciting time to plan your next National Eagle Center adventure. When you visit this winter season, you can meet and learn all about the newest bald eagle ambassador, Perseus. Plus, the center is your headquarters for winter eagle information and experiences, including weekly winter bald eagle counts, golden eagle information, unforgettable expert-led field trips, and small group private eagle habitat tours for your family and friends. Make eagles part of your 2024 and plan your visit or experience today online at nationaleaglecenter.org.
Mental health challenges among our youth have reached crisis levels post-pandemic. Anxiety, depression, trauma, and addiction are at unprecedented levels among teens and young adults. Parents, if your adolescent, teen, or young adult is struggling with mental health challenges, empower them with a fresh start at Hazelden Betty Ford. Hazelden Betty Ford can provide a clear path forward for you and your children in network with most insurance. This message is brought to you by Hazelden Betty Ford, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Myself and everyone here at AM 950 want to send our best out to the Senate Majority Leader, Carrie Dietzick, the Minnesota Senate Majority Leader. She is stepping down from her leadership post to focus on the serious health challenges related to her cancer diagnosis. In a statement issued on Friday, the Minneapolis Democrat said she learned in the last week that the cancer that kept her out of the public view for part of the 2023 session has actually returned. As we prepare for the next session, I decided it was the best interest of the caucus for me to step down as majority leader after our caucus has selected a new leader. Dietzick, a veteran legislator and daughter of former Minneapolis City Council member Walt Dietzick, was elected caucus leader after Democrats captured the majority in November of 2022. In mid-March of last year, just months into her tenure, she announced that she had undergone surgery after receiving a cancer diagnosis. She later revealed that several internal organs were removed during the procedure. She continued to lead the caucus during her recovery and returned to the Senate floor in May for the final weeks of the session. Dietzick was credited with uniting the caucus to get the number of high-priority bills for the DFL trifecta through the Senate, where majority Democrats had just one vote to spare. In her statement, she called it an honor to be part of that transformational 2023 session. She also urged the public to prioritize doctor's visits and preventive care. Regular checkups are key to early detection. Encourage your friends and family to get their wellness checkups. It can save a life. The 2024 session begins on February 12th. The date for the leadership vote has not been announced. I want to, first of all, Carrie, all my best to you. It's that's going to be hard, and you need to be saluted and mightily as the leader of the Senate, a 1-vote majority, and you got all that stuff done last year. That was spectacular. That was absolutely spectacular, and it was your silent leadership that got a lot of that done. And I know you probably dealt with a lot of people who are buckling and saying, can I really do this? And you stood firm, and look at what you accomplished. You accomplished so much as the leader. It cannot be denied that you were an amazing part of that success. That I hope that this diagnosis is treatable. Hopefully so. And all my best to you and your family as they go through this. I will also echo what she said there at the end, which is something that I have also encouraged people to. I mean, it's it's funny. I a few years ago, I went and got a colonoscopy. I was at that age, and nowadays I think it's 45. Is it 45 they want you? When I started, it was 50, and nothing was discovered, but some concerns. So I am, on a 3-year trajectory. I had my second one, and yeah, it's not the most comfortable thing to talk about, not the most comfortable thing to go through, but you know what? You know what's a lot worse? Colon cancer. And it's a lot worse. Holy gosh. I'm 55. I've already lost too many people to cancer. I've watched it happen. It's not good. And I understand some people are like, I'd rather not go to the doctor. Well, go to the doctor. Get checked out. Preventive maintenance. Be careful out there. And I can't, if you know mammograms for women, prostate cancer checks for men, colonoscopies for everyone. I mean, seriously, these are preventive maintenance, and you can basically catch problems before they become major problems. And science and technology have done this and gotten us better. That's why this is important. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of this and go get checked out. And to the DFL Senate majority, it's going to be hard. I mean, I know there's a lot of great DFL senators. There are a lot. But I don't know if it's going to be easy to replace Carrie Dietzig because she was phenomenal. Let's take a break. Come on back. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
The new year and the new eagle have arrived at the National Eagle Center. When you visit this winter season, you can meet and learn about the newest bald eagle ambassador, Perseus. Plus, the center is your headquarters for winter eagle information and experiences, including weekly winter bald eagle counts, golden eagle information, unforgettable expert-led field trips, and small group private eagle habitat tours for your friends and family. Make eagles part of your 2024 and plan your visit or experience today online at nationaleaglecenter.org.
If stress, pain, or fatigue are part of your life, then consider that your pain and tension may be indicators of what's amiss in your life, and it's time for a new perspective. At Resolve Pain Guru, we're here to help you reconnect with yourself, release tension and pain, move better, and sleep better so that you can do more of what you love. You have the power to take control of your healing journey with our online 6-week Change Your Pain course. Learn somatic practices to tap into the wisdom of your body, and then learn to trust your intuition. Challenge your thinking and embark on a transformative journey with Resolve Pain Guru as your guide, unlocking infinite rewards along the way. Experience the life-changing benefits of somatic practices at resolvepainguru.com. Register for our 6-week Pain Relief Starter Series and start your journey to a pain-free life of joy. That's resolvepainguru.com. resolvepainguru.com.
Tune in every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. for a full hour celebrating LGBTQ stories, culture, and entertainment in Minnesota with This Queer Book Saved My Life and The Gaily Show. Can't catch the shows live? Then listen through your favorite podcasting app. Plus, you can watch The Gaily Show anytime on AM 950's YouTube channel or Facebook page. For all the details, visit thisqueerbook.com or am950radio.com. We'll see you Saturdays at 2 p.m. or anytime via podcast, YouTube, or Facebook.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 30, then Saturday, clouds clear out with sunny skies and a high of 46. The music is still the hottest at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive. View their upcoming music schedules and food menus at croonersloungemn.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Just FYI, I'm going to be doing some dancing here in a little bit. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. I found a good Earth, Wind, and Fire song for you to get us out into the weekend here. So, I want to... It's funny, the mentality of the conservative who is always feeling like they're the victim. There used to be in Packers fan. Holy God, Packers fan is kind of ludicrous in their way that you're always underestimating us. You can say, well, boy, you know, the years that they won the Super Bowl championship, you're still not giving us the credit we're due, that sort of thing. It's always a chip on their shoulder. You see it in Iowa, man. You saw it with Iowa with that kickoff return where the guy signaled fair catch and then picked up the ball and ran with it and then thought they were going to let that go. And everyone in Iowa was like, it was a grand run over. How dare you not crown it? You know, that sort of thing. There is a victimization thing that happens, which you guys, I get it. You always adopt this mentality that you're being wronged. Now, I'm not talking about actual bad things that have happened because I'm going to get into this arson thing. That is horrible. And whoever did that should be arrested and charged with a crime. But it's what happened, how I found out about it, that I was like, wow, you guys, man. So this morning, now this was two people. This was in response to what we've talked about a good chunk of this week, which is the fraudulent translation of the Ilhan Omar speech that was carried by right-wing news and put out there, even though they themselves admitted we had, as a news outlet, we haven't confirmed whether or not this is what she actually said, was picked up by Tom Emmer, who is the third most important person on the Republican side in the House, and basically used as a justification to call for her removal from office and for her to, as a case of Marjorie Taylor Greene, be deported out of the country as an American citizen. Okay? That's not how it works. Since that initial report happened, because what was the mentality? Was like, why is the mainstream media talking about this? Well, the mainstream media started looking into it. And funny story, when the Star Tribune first looked at it, they had their reporter on staff who spoke Somali basically come on out and say, no, that's not what they said. What Ilhan Omar, her direct quotes from that are the actual correct, that's the correct translation. And it dramatically changed the narrative of the speech. It wasn't as this fraudulent, what seems to be fraudulent social media account put out as the truth that was run with by right-wing media and right-wing politicians. It was the Star Tribune. And immediately after I posted this, it's like, well, this doesn't seem like it's what it is. well, you can only go with the original translation. She's evil and wrong. And out comes every trope that they like to put out about Ilhan Omar. And it is bigoted and racist and Islamophobic and just god awful. And it is. But it never ceases to amaze me how many people who are just being absolutely horrible bigots, racist, and Islamophobic sit there and insist they're not being bigots, racist, and Islamophobic as they're being the worst of it. Well, then yesterday we had Max Nestorak on to talk about the Reformer, who hired 2 translators. 2. Double your pleasure. And both of them came down and said, no, Ilhan Omar didn't say what that original translation said she said. That was, and I even asked, I said, have you been able to verify that account is a legit account? And they couldn't. It seemed like this was a phantom account. So at this point, after the Reformer, it became clear that the right-wing media and Emmer and the Republicans were all on the wrong side of it. And as I said, either this is at best, it's a catastrophic failure of basic fact-checking. At worst, it was a coordinated campaign to basically smear Ilhan Omar, which it very likely could be. It's hard to say which one it is. But that's where we're at. Now, Republicans had lost their attack on Ilhan Omar. So this morning, I was greeted with why isn't the mainstream media and Democrats talking about the firebombing of our office? Now, this is a legit story. And as a matter of fact, actually, I knew about this before the story broke because it was I've got a friend who's in the same office building, has an office in the same office building, not one of the offices that's mentioned here in the story, but he said, oh yeah, there was an arson. I said, was there? Yep. And once again, horrible, absolutely horrible. For God's sakes, whoever did this needs to be arrested and chucked away because you can't have this sort of thing. It is just unacceptable. And yeah, it's unacceptable in any way, shape, or form. It's the sign of weakness. If you can't win your argument, you basically go and attack. And that's what it is. And so it is ugly and disgusting. And by all means, throw the book on whoever did this. All right. But it was the idea that somehow, and like I said, I went and looked around, the news kind of broke now about this arson. And I guess if you're a conservative, did you expect me to basically bolt out of bed with instant awareness of the story and Kevin McAllister it up and down the street screaming at the top of my head, it's an injustice? Is that because it kind of sounds like that's what you wanted me to do. And I'm not quite sure if that's, I don't think that's, we report on it. I'll talk about it. Well, I don't report on it. I'm not a reporter. I'm a talking head. But at the same time, it's not that it's not a story. It's just the fact that this mentality that I have to drop every other story, that nothing else matters, that unless we're basically screaming, arrest all Democrats, that basically we're somehow ignoring the story. Your victimization stuff, the problem here is this is a legit story. I legitimately feel sorry for these organizations. This should not happen. But when it's covered in layer after layer after layer of why isn't every media outlet out there demanding that Governor Walz be thrown out of office because of this? You're like, what, guys? Chicken Little. Have you heard this? Chicken Little. You can tone it down. It's a legit story. You don't need to scream from the top of your lungs. And the problem is, as I mentioned earlier this week, you were doing the same thing already. with the Ilhan Omar story. Why isn't everybody talking about this? And the minute all of a sudden that story turned on you because it was a fraudulent story, then you can't get away from it fast enough. This doesn't sound like it's a fraudulent story by any means. But because you're always screaming freaking Chicken Little, it's a tragedy that there probably is not going to get covered as much because you guys don't know how. There's only two switches on and off. You're either screaming, everybody's against us, or you're basically saying, no, there's no story here. This is a legit story. This does warrant you guys being upset. And once again, on board with you. Whoever did this, arrest the jerk. Absolutely. And in this day and age, I have a hard time believing they're not going to be able to easily track down who exactly did this. They probably already have some suspects. Let me read the story for you. The fire damaged the offices of the high-profile politically conservative think tank last weekend in Golden Valley, and a federal agency said Friday it's investigating the blaze as an act of arson. Center for American Experiment said on this news release on Friday the fire was detected about 2 a.m. on Sunday. Now, once again, this is the Center for American Experiment put out their news release today about this. So it's not like this has been covered in the news really at all before, I guess, last night it broke on the right-wing news outlets. But when I went and after I saw the information from the social media Scream channel, I basically went and just did a basic search and I found 4 stories for it. So I'm like, okay, what do you mean it's not being covered? It's clearly being covered. Center for American Experience said in a news release Friday the fire was detected about 2 a.m. on Sunday, and its headquarters located just south of Interstate 394 and east of 169. This is actually right over by Rudy Luther Toyota. It's right there. I mean, if it's just to the east of General Mills Boulevard and south on the south side of 394 there. The think tank's spokesman, Bill Walsh, said 2 other conservative organizations in the same building, the Upper Midwest Law Center and Take Charge, were also targeted by what the American Experiment is calling a firebombing. The fire is being investigated as an act of arson, said Ashley Sherrill, a spokeswoman for the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Since it is still an ongoing investigation, we are limited in what we can add for detail. Sherrill said that other agencies assisting in the investigation include the FBI, the Golden Valley Fire Department, State Fire Marshal, and Hennepin County Fire Investigative Team. John Hinderaker, forgive me if I'm wrong, American Experiment's president said in a statement issued Friday that the fires obviously were set by someone they targeted conservative organizations. He pointed out that the offices in the same building for the medical professionals and the Manufacturers Alliance were unscathed. The center said the fire started outside the first floor home of the American Experiment and Take Charge, and also the third floor offices of the Law Center. The second floor was untouched by the flames, the center added. Now, if it's a firebomb, I'm not saying it's not a firebomb. I mean, as described here by the Center for American Progress, did they throw a firebomb at the outside door? Because when I think of a firebomb, I think of the IRA in the 1970s, throwing it through a window and something like that. It sounds like these fires started on the outside of these offices and encroached in on the offices. Now, I'm not saying, once again, it's not a firebombing. And to a point, if you want to be able to catch the people that did this, kind of hope it does, because that means, bottle fragments, fingerprint potential. Hey, I've watched enough Law and Order in CSI. So, there's that potential that they could be able to track that down that way. The American Experience said its staff is working remotely, looking for alternative office spaces. Repairs are made, and the arson investigation continues. This will not slow us down. The president said American Experiment for Freedom is not dependent on bricks and mortar location. Well, in this modern day and age, I don't think too many people are as far as business goes. But no, I want to make sure with the strongest words and the strongest language, absolutely arrest the person that did this, put him in jail. Bing, end of story. But I want to give you, to conservatives, a little bit of a word of warning. This is a legit news story. If you're constantly yelling at 11, everything, including stuff like the Ilhan Omar story, which wasn't a legit story, which wasn't a legit thing. The real stories have a tendency of getting plowed under. Now, once again, I'm going to say this. Pretty much every major news outlet is covering it. So I don't know how you're going to sit there and say you're a victim somehow because no one's talking about it. Heck, the progressive radio station in town has just talked about it. End of story, end of discussion. So 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I also wanted to get into Lou Ragoose over at 11. If you haven't seen, I'm going to post this story out. This is the story of Rachel, who married Nick Firkus, Firkus, and Rachel met Nick Firkus in 2010. She was getting out of an abusive marriage, and he was dealing with the death of his wife Heidi. Life was hard for both of us at the time, she said. Nick's wife Heidi didn't just die; she was killed, shot once in the back in the home that she and Nick shared in St. Paul. Rachel was aware of the story. I knew as much as everybody else from the news about from my sister, Rachel said. What Rachel knew is that Heidi Firkus was killed during what Nick described as a home invasion while Heidi was on the phone with 911 to report it. Somebody trying to break into my house, Heidi told the 911 dispatcher before she briefly screamed and a gunshot could be heard. Nick said a black intruder with a hoodie struggled with him over the shotgun and it fired twice. The first shot killing Heidi, the second shot grazing Nick's leg. Police did not believe Nick's story, though. The St. Paul Police Sergeant Jim Gray asked Nick to point blank, "Did you have anything to do with this?" And Nick responded, "No, absolutely not." When Rachel met Nick, she knew some of those details. I knew that there were people who didn't believe him, but it was always just passed over like wasn't a big deal, like it wasn't anything to think about, that it just wasn't true. Rachel said, "I knew basics and everyone else knew. Nobody ever really talked about how much more." The Firkuses weren't really going to talk about it. Nick said he couldn't talk about it, so that's all I knew. Nick had the fervent support of his and Heidi's friends, which included Rachel's sister. They all told Rachel that he's innocent. After bonding over their troubles, Nick and Rachel began dating. Before long, were married. It was just everything was hard, but things move quickly. You talk about your hard stuff, and you build a deep relationship because of it, Rachel said. Nick and Rachel began their lives together and had 3 children. At times, she wondered about the day his first wife was killed. When asked if Nick ever talked about Heidi, Rachel said, "No, I would ask questions, and it was always very short. There were no details." Lou Ragoose, once again, Rachel Firkus and Lou Ragoose talked at 11. What did he seem like when he talked about it? He was straightforward, but also like, "I don't remember that part. I don't remember that part," So there were things that he claimed that he didn't remember. In their relationship, Rachel said Nick began lying about little things. Happiness was quickly evaporating. Then there was one detail about Nick's story that always bothered her. The bank had foreclosed on Nick and Heidi's St. Paul home, and they were scheduled to be evicted the day after Heidi was killed. Nick claimed Heidi knew, yet their house was not packed in any way. Isn't that the same thing with A Few Good Men? That's how they figured out something was wrong there. I just assumed, I started to look around. I just started to get bad feelings, like a gut feeling, but I didn't want to assume anything because if I were to assume that he did something horrible, that's a big assumption to make. I mean, that's saying that someone could murder somebody. Like, that's not something somebody thinks about in their spouse. She also looked inside Nick's sock drawer, found a notice that they were at risk of losing their home for unpaid property taxes. So, and it sounds like, and what's not clear from the story is it sounds like they were, this was not the same financial problems as Heidi and Nick had. This was new ones there. Rachel had found the notice. "How quickly did your mind go to Heidi?" "Yes, a little lies, brought me to Heidi every once in a while, but I was like, that's too big. Like, don't go there. This letter kind of tripped me over. I was like, boy, now this is bigger than I thought it was." Could Rachel potentially be facing the same fate as Heidi? She confronted Nick while recording on her cell phone about the money situation and about his first wife. "Your actions have caused me to just distrust you completely. And the fact that you're lying was so easy for you, and to do it in front of me over and over again makes me think that I could murder my wife," Nick responded with a question mark. "That you could lie about something," Rachel answered. "That I could murder my wife," Nick reported. "Yes," Rachel finally admitted in the recording. "At that moment, did you think he might have killed her?" "I knew it was a possibility that I knew it was possible that I was." Rachel said that she continued to try to get answers. When she didn't, she left him. Not long after, Rachel did get clarity. St. Paul Police Detective Nikki Sipes knocked on her door and told her about their investigation. Nick was charged 11 years after Heidi's murder after the dramatic trial. It didn't take long for the jury to convict him. I felt very fake, Rachel said regarding Nick's statement in court. It felt very fake. Rachel wasn't able to watch the jury trial. She was needed as a witness, and she finally saw Nick's 2010 interrogation video for the first time. When the case was over, she was shocked by Nick's lack of emotion. So it's yeah, that's got to be a tough thing. You've married a guy who, if you take his story at face value, was about to be evicted because the bank was foreclosing on the house. And so clearly was having financial problems in the financial situation. And, somehow the day before they're about to get evicted, his wife gets shot and goes away. And then all of a sudden you would think to yourself, okay, if this truly was an accident, he's going to try to clean up his life, not try to get into another situation where he's, basically in a situation where he's going to lose his house. And it sounds like, once again, he basically kept financial problems away from his second wife. And so, yeah, I can't imagine what that'd be like to be like that. I really, that's got to be hard. And I'm glad she's safe. I'm really glad she's safe at this point. 952-946-6205. I'll post that story a little bit later on. Let's take a break. Come on back. Get into the music on a Friday. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
I'm out here 1,000.
Hey there, Twin Cities. This is Andy Otto, your host for Twin Cities Pride Amplified. Join me as we dive into everything LGBTQIA+. From rights to culture, health, and events, we cover it all. Pride isn't just a June thing, it's year-round, and so is our show. Whether you're a part of the queer family or an ally, this is your space. Tune in to Twin Cities Pride Amplified every Saturday at 3 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
1 year ago, I was in the accident which nearly killed me. The last year has been a lot of work recovering, and positivity has been a key. Staying positive, I no longer refer to the accident as an accident, but rather the day my Toyota Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota saved my life. That's a factual statement, and the main reason why I'll always own one for the rest of my life. Some places will talk about auto safety, but I'm a living example of why you and your family can trust a Toyota from Rudy Luther Toyota. Go test drive one today and try the hybrids. They're fantastic. Rudy Luther Toyota on 394 in Golden Valley.
Lewis Black, Goodbye Yeller Brick Road, the final tour.
Look, to allow QAnon to run amok, they're nuts, okay? And I don't give a if your cousin's in QAnon and you don't think he's nuts. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I know cray when I see it.
Lewis Black, live on stage in the Mystic Showroom, Friday, April 26th. Get tickets now at the Mystic box office or online at mysticlake.com. For more, visit lewisblack.com.
I'm having a really hard time lately, and I'm worried no one will understand what I'm going through.
I feel so alone. I wish there was somebody I could talk to.
If you're looking for support, Mental Health Minnesota is here for you, with connections to others who have also struggled with their mental health and can provide support and resources. Services are anonymous, confidential, free of charge, and open 7 days a week. Connect today at mentalhealthmn.org or call 855-HERE-FOR-MN today. Sponsored by Mental Health Minnesota, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Yeah, no, that's Dateline NBC stuff right there. I mean, I don't know. Have they done the Fergus story on the Dateline? I wonder. Oh, they've got to at some point here. That's one that might show up on one of those. I mean, it's going to. I mean, there's so many of them now. Half of Netflix seems like it's true crime stories at this point. So yeah, if it hasn't, it's going to be. I guarantee you there. Once again, next week, Listener Appreciation Week kicks into gear. Go to AM 950 Radio to find out all the details. We're going to be starting to give away stuff on Monday, all throughout the entire month of February. So make sure you check that out. Have a great, safe weekend. We've got Robert Pilot, Native Roots Radio. That's coming up next. Greg Bach and Ghost Box Radio coming up tonight. I will be back on a Monday. Until then, have a great weekend and see ya!
sky so very dear, yeah. You're a shining star, no matter who you are. Shining bright to see what you can truly be, what you can truly be. Chance after interview, shining bright the light on you. Yeah, give your strength to carry on. Yeah, make your body big and strong. Yeah. Oh, control of the sun. Yeah, yeah.
The AM 950 2024 calendar is still available, and there's still time to take part in the brand new Thank You. Become a sustaining member of